Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty major happening right now. The New York premiere, November 1st, of Die My Love.
Yeah, the big psychological drama with Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. Directed by Lynn Ramsey, who always brings a certain intensity.
Absolutely. And what we've got here, based on our sources, collaboration reports, some early reviews, industry data, it looks like a really critical point for both Lawrence and Pattinson.
Definitely. So our mission really is to unpack why. Why this film? Why now? It's based on this pretty challenging book tackling some heavy themes.
And how does that kind of literary work even become a big movie with these huge stars? Plus, there's this fascinating backstory involving Martin Scorsese.
Right, and a landmark distribution deal that says a lot about where adult drama stands today. So, yeah, lots to get into.
Okay, let's start with the story itself. What exactly is Die My Love about? It sounds intense.
Oh, it is. The setup is Jennifer Lawrence plays Grace. She's a writer, a new mom. She and her husband, Jackson, that's Pattinson's character, have moved. They left NYC for, like, the quiet life in rural Montana.
Seeking peace and quiet, you imagine.
Exactly. But what Grace finds instead is a descent into postpartum psychosis. It's a really severe condition, and the film apparently doesn't shy away from it.
And that Montana setting,
Yeah.
it's not just background, is it?
No, it sounds like it functions almost like another character,
Yeah,
symbolizing her isolation, maybe trapping her.
makes sense. And the genre, psychological drama, obviously, but I saw mentions of dark comedy.
Yeah, which is interesting. It's definitely described as a dark psychological drama, a sort of slow burn thriller. But apparently there are these moments of like grim humor woven in, maybe stemming from the absurdity of the situation. But overall, the tone is bleak. It's about mental collapse.
And the structure sounds unusual, too, something called a repetitive crisis structure. What does that actually look like?
Well, it means it probably avoids that typical Hollywood buildup, big climax at the end. Instead, it's more like everyday life, the mundane stuff, changing diapers, whatever, is suddenly punctuated by these like explosions of emotional turmoil.
So the crisis isn't the exception, it's the norm for her.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It highlights the constant instability she's living with. It's just life. Tuesday afternoon, like the reports say.
Got it. And there's a strong supporting cast, too. Lakeith Stanfield, Nick Nolte, Sissy Spacek.
Right, which helps ground it, probably showing the ripple effects on the whole family. Because this isn't just about Grace's internal struggle. Postpartum psychosis, while rare, affects maybe 1 or 2 women in 1,000, its impact is devastating on the partner, the child, everyone trying to cope.
So it connects the personal crisis to a wider family dynamic.
Exactly. That's where the real stakes are, both personal and, social in a way.
Okay, so let's talk about how this even got made. It started as a novel.
Yeah, an Argentine novel from 2012, same name, Die My Love, by Ariana Harwich.
And the connection to Martin Scorsese is kind of wild, right?
It really is. So the story goes, Scorsese read the book back in 2020, part of his personal book club, apparently.
Just casually reading intense Argentine literature.
Right, and he was apparently so struck by its sort of raw take on motherhood and its burdens, that he immediately sent it to Jennifer Lawrence's production company, Excellent Cadaver.
Wow. So he basically handpicked her.
Pretty much said she was the only one who could play Grace, and then he signed on as a producer to back that up. Talk about pressure.
No kidding. Especially since Lawrence herself apparently wasn't sure it could be a movie at first.
Yeah, that's the challenge. Harwich's writing is known for being very internal, very dense, described as violent, ironic, erotic. It's more about philosophical ideas than, say, plot.
Her other books explore similar themes. Motherhood, alienation.
Right, this involuntary trilogy she wrote. It digs into how society's expectations around motherhood can be, well, damaging, alienating. The novel was even long-listed for the Man Booker International.
So Lawrence had this incredibly internal, critically acclaimed, Scorsese-endorsed novel and had to make it visual.
Exactly. She joked she wasn't going to correct Marty, but yeah. The screenplay, which Lynn Ramsey co-wrote with Enda Walsh, had a huge task. How do you translate that deep internal psychological state, that philosophical critique, into something you can see and feel on screen without just using voiceover?
That's the tightrope walk of adaptation right there, making the internal external.
Precisely. Making Grace's alienation, her rage, her breakdown, visceral for the audience. It's why it was such a risk.
And pulling that off really hinges on the actors. Let's talk about Lawrence and Pattinson.
Yeah, 2 huge stars taking on incredibly demanding roles. For Lawrence, this feels like a continuation, doesn't it?
Definitely. From Winter's Bone getting her that Oscar nod at 20, then the massive Hunger Games phenomenon.
Which grossed what, over $6 billion? Insane.
Right. Then winning Best Actress for Silver Linings Playbook so young. And now, through her production company, too, she's really leaning into these complex, difficult adult roles.
And Pattinson, his path is almost the opposite journey, but equally deliberate. After Twilight, he made a very conscious pivot.
To those gritty indie films,
Yeah.
Good Time, Cosmopolis.
Yeah, really building up that artistic credibility for nearly a decade. Then he comes back big with The Batman. But doing Die My Love now shows he's still committed to that deeper, psychologically complex work, even alongside the blockbusters.
It's interesting they ended up here together because there's that funny anecdote.
Oh, the Twilight audition.
Right.
Lawrence auditioned for Bella Swan way back when.
And got rejected right away, as she put it.
So she joked that working with Pattinson now, 15 years later, is her complete revenge.
It's good they could joke because the material itself sounds incredibly dark. The dynamic between their characters, Grace and Jackson, must be brutal.
Apparently so. But sources say their actual working relationship on set was pretty smooth, professional, respectful.
Lawrence mentioned something about valuing that they could just be quiet together in the same space. Yeah. In the same space, yet remain silent for extended periods. Which suggests a level of trust, not needing to fill the silence, just being able to inhabit those dark places together.
And apparently some of the really intense fight scenes got so extreme they actually started laughing.
And Ramsey kept some of that in.
Seems so. Maybe because it captured the sheer chaotic energy of it all.
Okay, so intense subject, demanding performances, auteur director. This seems destined for divided reactions.
And that's exactly what we're seeing. The critical reception for Die My Love is definitely split, polarized.
You've got some really strong positive reviews, though, calling it soul-bearing, saying it's Lawrence's best, most fearless work since Mother.
High praise. But then you have the other side. Critiques suggesting it's more of a thesis statement than a fully fleshed out story.
What does that usually mean when critics say thesis statement?
It often implies the film is maybe prioritizing its message or its stylistic intensity over, say, deeper character exploration or narrative nuance. So the argument might be that it relies too heavily on the spectacle of Lawrence's breakdown. The crawling like an animal, the wreaking havoc in bathrooms, without getting fully under the skin of why.
Which sounds very Lynn Ramsey, honestly. Her films like We Need to Talk About Kevin or You Were Never Really Here, they are intense, visually driven, and they don't offer easy answers.
Exactly. She makes challenging cinema. It's been 8 years since her last feature, so expectations were high. But division is almost part of her brand, you could say.
But while critics might be divided, the industry seems to have bought in. Big time.
Oh, hugely. After it premiered at Cannes this year, Mubi stepped up.
The streaming service and distributor.
Right. They acquired the distribution rights for a reported $24 million.
Wow. $24 million for this kind of film.
It's a landmark deal. It's Mubi's single biggest acquisition ever. A massive bet on a challenging adult psychological drama.
That really cuts against the grain of, prioritizing safer bets or just dumping things onto streaming.
Totally. And they backed it up with the relief plan. A full domestic theatrical release across 1,500 screens for 45 days.
That's a serious commitment to the big screen experience for adult drama.
It's significant, especially when you consider the context. The overall global box office is actually doing pretty well this year, up around 7% as of late October. So we guys essentially saying, we believe there's a theatrical audience for this kind of sophisticated, challenging film, and they're putting serious money behind that belief.
So wrapping this up, what's the big picture takeaway from this deep dive into Die My Love?
Well, it seems like a confluence of factors, really. You've got this intense literary source material championed by a legend like Scorsese.
Then you add the specific, uncompromising vision of a director like Lynn Ramsey.
And anchor it with the combined star power and commitment of Lawrence and Pattinson, who are both at interesting points in their careers.
And that whole package was compelling enough to secure this huge distribution deal from Mubi, signaling faith in difficult adult stories.
Yeah, it reinforces Lawrence's power, not just as an actress, but as a producer, finding tough material. And it shows Pattinson sticking to his artistic guns post-Batman.
And thinking about the themes, it's not just about portraying postpartum psychosis, is it? It connects back to Horwitz's original ideas.
Right. It seems to use that specific harrowing condition to explore that broader, maybe more universal theme. The immense, often damaging psychological pressure that societal expectations put on mothers.
Which feels very relevant to Lawrence's career, too, playing women under intense pressure, from Katniss to her role in Mother.
Exactly. So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. The film clearly depicts a psychological crisis. But does it go further? Does it actually challenge the systems and expectations that contribute to that kind of pressure in the first place? That difference between just showing a crisis and questioning what causes it, that might be the most interesting thing to consider after you watch it.